All right, great. So thanks, everybody. This is a new initiative. So we're going to be running a monthly tech update around Acumatica specifically only, exclusively. So this is the first of them with our new ERP 365 branding and team, who I'm going to quickly kind of introduce, not in person, but just in terms of what we do. So yeah, we're ERP 365. We call ourselves the A team for Acumatica. That's all we do. So we're a pure Acumatica team. And we have a really highly skilled team revolving around Acumatica itself, general business process and ERP, and technical. So we kind of cover the bases with with ERP, Acumatica. We're a gold certified partner. We're based in South Africa, as everyone knows, I think, and we focus on Africa and kind of, we call it EMEA, so it's kind of our time zone. And we are, I think, the only exclusive, i.e. we only do Acumatica. So most ERP vendors are multi-product, so they're doing other products as well. And we're focusing purely on one ERP, which we believe knows the best, which is Acumatica. So the quick story for those that are new to Acumatica, it's born in the cloud, born this generation. So it's a Gen Z, I guess you'd call it. I've been involved with Acumatica since about 2015, where it was about 7 years old, and and now it's kind of gone leaps and bounds. No one had heard of it back then. I think even now Acumatica prides itself on spending a lot of money on R&D, not so much money on sales and marketing, but the product sells itself. So it has grown enormously. It's built for the multi-cloud world, and I think this is really important. So the multi-cloud world includes what we're doing today. And today we're talking about Excel-based reporting, which everybody loves, especially accountants. And people love using Excel. I use Excel a lot. We all do. And that's one of the multi-cloud things out there. So in the world of Office and Exchange, Excel is probably the only spreadsheet around really these days. Now there's Google Docs, and we do integrate with that. But we're talking around the multi-cloud world of connecting to things that are used a lot, like signing electronic documents, like big platforms around e-commerce. And today we're talking around Velixo and reporting using OData, which is the Microsoft technology. So Acumatica access from any device, anywhere, and those that have gone through COVID using Acumatica are grateful for that experience of having Acumatica during that period, seeing the benefits of being in a true cloud platform with mobile access, etc. And now we're starting to leverage the new AI machine learning through our APIs. Acumatica is still the fastest growing cloud ERP globally, so we're growing fast. I had a kind of a 1 year, 1.5 year sabbatical from Acumatica last year. I saw we went from 10,000 customers, growing very fast. We've won a lot of awards. I think the biggest accolade we've got is our customers love the product. I think that's the most important thing. So we always get really high ratings in terms of usability, and customers really love it. So it's a great product. Acumatica has additions, but ERP 365, we tend to focus a little bit deeper into some areas like manufacturing. So we're focusing on the various types of manufacturing being processed, which is food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, as well as the kind of standard, discrete, and batch processing of hard goods, as well as new things like job shopping, and adding to that. So what we're trying to do is add value using the products, the portfolio of products that are out there in the Acumatica ecosystem, like quality management, like advanced maintenance. So we're bringing those to the party in different sectors like manufacturing. A lot of this crosses over. So some of these quality would affect other areas as well. I'm just going to do a quick check to see if anybody is waiting to enter the meeting. No, all good. So around projects and service, so construction is kind of the traditional, but we're also looking at there's a lot of project-centric organization services, and then bringing field service into that equation as well. And things like rental and facilities management. There's some great software in the ecosystem that addresses those special verticals. This is a big one for us, distribution and retail. So we're focusing on the warehouse management side of Acumatica and bringing new players to the well, they're not new to Acumatica, but new to our region and our channel around logistics, delivery, etc. And then the omni-channel retail is a big push that we're looking at the moment. So we're going back into that space of retail with omni-channel and e-commerce, and a lot of document automation. So we're going to have sessions monthly. It may be more frequent than monthly, but certainly document automation is a hot topic, and we will be looking at that in detail quite soon. So document automation across the board, but in the distribution space, it'll be things like outbound document automation and inbound automation of accounts payable, for example. On the general side, payment systems is something new. We're looking at the sneak peek, or just as the overview of release 2023 R2, which was released a few days ago. And payment integration is one of the big things we're talking about. But I've been heavily involved in payment systems over the last year, in my kind of year away from Acumatica. And we certainly are going to be bringing localization to the payment systems that Acumatica offers into our region, integrating with local payment systems. So those are card present and card not present payment systems. The framework is there. Same for bank integration, same for AP automation. So document recognition, etc. We've got tools that will localize that. So there's are some nuances different in North America to us, and enterprise HRM and payroll. So I think that's just a quick overview of what we do, and very quick as well, as I'm watching my time here. I do speak quickly though, so hopefully not too quickly. R2 was released a few days ago, October the 5th. There's over 70 features. There's more than 70. I've checked the list. And there's a lot of what they call improvements. I would call some of them are features, but there's a whole host of improvements which either improve the way things happen, or they are completely new. There's a bunch of those. We won't have time today, but I think an upcoming session will focus purely on the 2023 R2 release. You can go and look at help.acumatica.com to read up about all this stuff if you've got the patience. But just to highlight some things, I think these are important. Document recognition, as I say, we're localizing. That is really important because it's one of the new AI parts of ERP that's really adds a lot of value, is document automation in and out, automatically recognizing, pulling things from an email, for example, stripping out the information, turning it into data and storing it in the doc management system. Payment integration, I think, is really big globally. So integrating with payment systems, really important. Again, we'll be localizing that for our market. Quite nice Gmail integration with the Google Marketplace is good because we've had a lot of requests over the years. Obviously, we've got very strong, tight integration with Microsoft Office 365, but there are those that prefer to use the Google ecosystem. There's a whole host of stuff in distribution. I'll try and pop in and show you. I hate doing PowerPoint. Those that know my demos, and I like to go in and look at it live, and I'll do that now. So there's a whole host of stuff, including automatic allocation of orders for shipment, for example. So doing that in bulk rather than one at a time. Some really nice stuff inside of the sales order entry part. So I'll jump in quickly and show you that. I think I've got a five minutes to do that. So allocation, line discount automation, margin calculation on sales orders is really nice new feature. Something that I think everybody asks for, and we've always assumed it should be there. It is. New features I'll show you around pick, pack, and warehouse automation. So we're really getting a really strong WMS inside of Acumatica, where it started off being a kind of lightweight. It's got some really powerful new features that are making it better and better. So I think at that point, let me try and I'll see if any on the way there. I'll see if anyone's waiting. No one waiting there. So I'll go to Acumatica. Can you see my screen okay? Anyone can shout yes. Those, I think the presenters can talk to me at the moment. I'll unmute everybody else shortly. So yeah, just honing in here on sales orders. There's some automated new features like picking queue management. So this is new stuff. I'm not going to demo it to you today because there's no time, but this allows us to say, pick a warehouse, pick a function, or pick a picker. That's, what's this person doing? And show me what the wave picking is doing, show me what the single shipment picking is doing, and start watching. And that'll then populate, I'm still busy with the last process, populate the list of watching, so giving us live information of what is happening in terms of automation in the picking queue. Here's the same thing, managing the picking queue. So this would actually allow us to manage what's going on, either automatically using the automation, those that know Acumatica. So we can set wherever that clock appears, set an automatic function to do something periodically with the schedule, so that we can move things along in the warehouse. And that could be send things, change things, assign things, or remove things based on conditions. So remove anything that's been picked where we know it's not in stock, but then somehow they're trying to pick it anyway. Could be an example. Okay. So there's the whole mass allocation of sales orders, which again it used to be done one at a time. This will be a huge help in allocating and deallocating orders ready for processing and shipment. Card processing, manifest creation for shipping integration. That's another good localization example. So we are open to integrate with local carriers. So it might, we've got UPS and FedEx, but we might want to be using Value Logistics or RAM or one of the others locally, and so on. So I've just put yellow stars next to some of those highlights of 2023. But today's session is more around the Velixo today, and we're going to be looking at that. So I think I've got about a minute left. So one of the nice new features, which I really going to put that up on the screen, is we've got, those people that use Acumatica might know about the B2B customer portal, but now Acumatica is moving into the online vendor portal area, which is really, really exciting, and really some nice things happening with Shopify being one of the platforms we integrate with. But we'll have, there's probably like 10, 15 topics out of just what I've just said in the last 10 minutes that we could have an hour on each. So I think for today, I want to introduce Duffy Cohen, who's with us. And just to give an intro, I've worked with Velixo. So Gabriel Michaud, who started Velixo, was actually product, I can't remember his title, but he was a senior product guy at Acumatica when I first joined. And he devised this really, really powerful tool called Velixo using the OData technology within Acumatica. And I'll think at that point hand over to Duffy Cohen, who's probably the expert on it. So Duffy, if you want to, I'll just unshare my screen and you should be able to share and take over.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Bernard. I'm seeing that sharing's disabled for me. I'm hoping, I don't know if you'll be able to.
Okay.
That.
Let me check that out. Let me just check that out. So yeah,
all right, perfect.
I had set up share, but let me see where I'll do that. Settings, participant permissions, screen sharing, speaker and host. I'm just going to say everyone, just in case.
Okay. And
I'm going to say microphone everyone as well, although you are on. So those that have their mics, you can mute. I've got everyone on. I've just said camera, speaker, and host, but try again. Let's see if that works.
It's looking like it's working. Perfect.
Alrighty.
All right, perfect. So I'm assuming, Bernard, you can see my screen?
Yep, got it.
Perfect. So nice to meet everyone here on the call today. Very excited to share our Excel-based reporting solution called Velixo. For today's presentation, it's going to be fairly straightforward. I'll go through a PowerPoint presentation for the first couple of minutes, and it's going to give you a better understanding of what Velixo is and the main functionalities you'll have access to. For the major chunk of the conversation today, I'll be walking you through the solution in its entirety, and that's where we'll be spending the majority of our portion today. But to get started, what is Velixo? Put simply, it is an Excel-based reporting solution that is going to allow you to extract all your data from Acumatica and bring that to life within Excel. In the same vein, you'll be able to push that data back from Excel directly into Acumatica. So what you'll see today is a push and pull communication between your ERP and Excel. Like Bernard already mentioned, Velixo had started based on our founder, Gabriel Michaud, who has extensive experience in the ERP ecosystem, 25 plus years. And before creating this solution uniquely for the Acumatica ecosystem, like Bernard mentioned, he actually worked on the product team in Acumatica. He actually worked hand in hand with the previous CEO, John Roskell, where they would go out for product presentations. And this is where he came up with the idea of building Velixo. In a very short period of time, we have grown to thousands of customers in various countries. South Africa for us is our fourth largest market. Our head office is in Montreal, Canada. That's where we're located, but we do have employees all around the world. Now, like I mentioned, how did Velixo get started? Yes, it got started, while Gabriel was working on the product side, but he had many customers in his previous roles who kept asking him if there's a way to build the reports or manipulate the reports the way they saw fit. Or as opposed to doing that, a lot of the customers really enjoyed clicking that export to Excel button. But once they actually clicked on that report was no longer live. They'd have to do those regular manual, repetitive manipulations on a regular basis. So all these situations that came up provided Gabriel with the idea to build this out on his own within an environment that folks are already new. Excel being the number one add-on in the entire world just seemed like the right fit. What you will all see in the next 2 minutes or so, once we go through Velixo's installation process, is that number one, it's going to take about 30 seconds at the most to install. But what you'll notice after we install Velixo is that there will be a new ribbon within Excel called Velixo. When we click on that ribbon, you will see a drop-down of additional functions that we've embedded into Excel. And we've created over 80 functions specifically for financials, projects, or generic inquiries. And generic inquiries essentially just opens up the door to report on anything operational-wise. So it could be inventory, it could be commissions, it could be anything that you think of, you'll be able to bring in at the end of the day. Lastly, all the data that you will see today is live and everything is absolutely refreshable at the click of a button. We don't use a data warehouse. It's an OData feed at the end of the day. Second to last slide before we'll dive right into the solution. 2 items here I want to mention. Number one, we follow Acumatica's model in having an unlimited user model. So the same applies for Velixo. So if it's going to be 1, 5, 100 individuals who need access to Velixo, you don't have to worry about paying more for additional users. The idea is with Velixo, we want everyone who needs access to have access. Lastly, and most importantly, is that we mirror those same permission rights you set up for each individual user in Acumatica when they're using Velixo. So if you'll have a member on your team, let's say, who doesn't have access to budget screens, when they're using Velixo, they will be restricted from accessing that data. And then lastly, you'll just see a sample of some of the customers right now that we're working with. Again, I wasn't able to include all the thousands or so that we work with. I always like to touch on Acumatica as they themselves seen the value in Velixo. They actually purchased Velixo for their own reporting needs. But again, we're industry agnostic. We service companies that are one employee all the way to publicly traded companies. So we fit with every organization. With that being said, let's kick this presentation off and go through the installation of Velixo. If we start working with your team, ERP 365 will just go off and send you a link. And it's the same process I'm going through right now. You'll click on that link and install Velixo, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Anyone else who needs access, you'll just forward that off to them and they'll go through the exact same process. Velixo works for Windows, Velixo works for Mac. Velixo works with Excel Online, so it doesn't matter which system you're utilizing, you'll be able to use Velixo. There's only one limitation, just so everyone here is aware. If you're using a Mac, report distribution is not yet available. So as you'll notice, Velixo's already been installed. First thing that will populate is some getting started toolkits, but we don't need this for today because you all have me on the call. First thing, like I mentioned, is that you'll notice is that Velixo ribbon up top that's been installed. When you click on that ribbon, this is where you'll see a drop down of all of the functionalities. So refreshing your content in real time, connecting Acumatica to Excel, drilling down. This is one of my favorite functionalities. It allows you to click on any cell in any one of your spreadsheets and go to that source transaction directly within your ERP. Sending out reports, click of a button, different ways on how you can push your data back from Excel into Acumatica, some additional functionalities, and then, of course, support. First thing we'll do today, we're going to connect into our Acumatica environment. So we'll click the connection manager icon, add connection, and at this point, it's as simple as filling in the appropriate field you use right now to log into Acumatica, but logging into Velixo. So the username and the passcode that you're already using is what you'll use to log in here. You'll notice connection name, I wrote demo here. Just try to keep it as short as possible, maybe an acronym for if you have a large company name. You'll notice that while I'm building these reports out, I'm just going to be referencing that connection name frequently. Remember me, of course, you don't have to fill this in every single time. And then SSO or Active Directory, if you have a more secured login, you can fully authenticate with Velixo. So we're going to go ahead and connect into our environment. And once we do so, we will start on our first report. And I'm going to start off with a sample trial balance just to show you the foundation of Velixo. Following that, we'll dive into a couple of additional sample pack reports that are already available on our website, so you all already have access to it. And it's a good starting point for a lot of customers once they start to look at building their reports out. Of course, you'll have to manipulate that the way it sees fit for your business, because every company has a different way or structure on how they want their reports to be defined. So it looks like we are almost connected. Just give it a moment. All right, there we go. So you'll see on the right-hand side, the cloud in greens means we are officially connected into our environment. If you have multiple entities, you might have that. You don't have to worry. You can consolidate from multiple entities on one given spreadsheet with Velixo. You would just simply have to add another connection here. Most customers might have multiple branches or multiple companies, and that's usually living in one entity, and we'll show an example of that in the next little bit. First thing we'll look at today, like I mentioned, is that simple trial balance. So let's go ahead and say we're looking for our code, our name, and our balance. First thing we'll take a look for is our GL accounts. We can input these GL accounts one by one. As opposed to doing that, you can just click on the Insert Chart of Accounts. We'll see our connection. Simply click on Insert, and you'll notice every single one of your accounts will populate in real time. I mentioned earlier we had over 80 dynamic functions. This is just one of those functions that I mentioned earlier. So you'll see the cell itself. But what this allows you to do is now log out of your spreadsheet at any point. And then when you want to log back in, click on the refresh all on your top left. Anything that has been added, removed, or modified based on any filters or date ranges that you put in place will automatically update the next time you click refresh all or log in. You'll also have the options here to set up your account the way you want to when you start working with Velixo. Next, let's look for our account name. So we'll type equals account name. Once you do so, you'll see a dropdown of the appropriate syntax to input. Every single function we host, you'll see the syntax available. Again, with Velixo, we strive on making sure there's a lot of content available. So again, we'll use that demo connection name that we previously inputted. We'll take our account, but let's go ahead and take all of our accounts. And finally, let's look for our account balance. Let's look for our ending balance. And I'll put a few filters here. And we'll look for our actuals. In retrieving your ending balance, there's two ways you can go about. First one is using the account name that I previously mentioned. But if you already have that backbone or understanding of Excel, just click on the insert function icon. And the first thing you'll notice in the category section is that we've added 6 new ones. Let me just scroll down. But this is where you'll see all the new write-back scenarios. So generic inquiries, projects, general ledger, audit functions, list functions, and write-back. So let's say we click on projects, for example. You'll see every single function hosted here with the parameters and description, of course. And again, we'll just take the account ending balance for our instance. At this point, it's as simple as plugging and playing into the appropriate fields. And finally, our financial payment. At this point, we are ready to click on OK. Before I do so, just note the icon that says help on this function. When you click there, you're going to be redirected to our support page. And again, I already spoke about the content that we have available, but I can't emphasize this enough. Every single function we host, we have a description of the function itself. We'll have the syntax, parameters, but we go above and beyond, and we want to empower our customers to be able to build their reports on their own. So you'll see some examples as well that we've created. So this same content that I'm highlighting here is available for every single function we host. Outside of that, we do have getting started videos as well, We also, like I already mentioned, have those sample pack reports that you can reference as you're starting to build out your own reports. Let's get back to the report itself. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And then let's push this report to life. Let's make this look a bit better. All right. So we have our actuals. We have our financial period. Let's assume we want to report on November, not December. The simplest change in that financial period, you'll see your values update in real time. You might want to compare 1 year to the previous year. You can absolutely do so. Again, it's just changing that financial period. And again, you'll see everything update in real time. You might be looking for your variance. And what you're noticing is that I'm just using a hybrid. So I'm using both Excel related functions and functions that Velixo is built in. That's the beauty of Velixo, is that you can still use everything you already know within Excel. So you'll see here we have our variance. You can switch this over from actual to budget if you'd like, because you could extract any ledger within Acumatica. Let me scroll down here just to highlight our values, as you'll see here. And this is where some of those additional functionalities you'll see up top will come into effect. So you can hide 0 rows. You can hide 0 columns. It's just giving you a different way on how you can build the reports, really the way you're looking to. Last item I'm going to highlight on the sample in this trial balance before we dive into that sample pack report is how you can group your accounts together. There are 3 ways on how you can do so. The first one is grouping specific accounts. Let's say we wanted 10-100, 10-200, and then 10-300. All I'm doing is put a semicolon in between those cells, or values, excuse me. We're going to copy any one of those 3 line items, paste, and you'll see the addition of those 3 accounts populate in cell C5. Let's say we wanted ranges. Let's say we wanted 10-100 all the way to 10-600. Same idea applies. And lastly is something called wildcards. This is going to allow you to mix and match the accounts that you want to group together, one of the most highly utilized scenarios of the 3. Let's say we want any account with a leading 1. We'll put 4 question marks after that because we have 5 total digits. And then let's say we don't want 10-200. And then you'll see, again, your values update in real time. So again, this was just showing everyone here a sample of how we can connect seamlessly to our environment with Acumatica. Following that, we just did a simple trial balance. We did a comparative analysis between actuals to budget. We refreshed all of our data in real time, and I highlighted how we will group our accounts together. Now we're going to touch on that sample pack report that is available on our website. And this is where we're going to go through the drill down functionality, how you're going to write your data back into Acumatica, how you can send out reports, and how you can bring in all your data outside of financials. So again, you'll see here a sample pack report. So first thing you'll notice, let me just zoom in a little bit. I know it might be a little small. So we'll see here a P&L, trailing P&L, income consolidated report, cash flow statement. So you'll see various reports indicated here. And for this given report, you'll see the account mapping. So if we open this up, you'll see the account classes, the groupings. So how we've put this report together. So your report might be a little bit different. Again, you just slice and dice these reports the way you want to. For this given report, this given P&L, you'll see we have multiple branches. So you can filter or you can toggle between the branches. You could combine branches if you'd like. The same idea can apply to companies. You can set these reports up the way you want to. If you have multiple, let's say you have multiple currencies, for instance, and you want to look for the spot rate between the differences between given regions that you're selling into, you can absolutely do that. That's just, anything that you have in Acumatica, you can bring into Excel. Again, we're working within Excel. So let me just show you, let's say you want to add some visuals, excuse me. Excuse me for that. You could toggle between your branches. And then you'll see your data updated in real time. Just give me a moment. I have to cough. Excuse me.
Ti costava troppo a me. Ho visto.
Hmm?
Ho visto che costava. Quindi che giocava. Vabbè, dice.
Hmm? All right, so we are back.
Quindi che giocava. Agile. E gli amici per cui.
So again, I wanted to show one of my favorite functionalities called drill down. So again, what that allows you to do is click on any cell in any one of your spreadsheets and go to the source transaction directly within Acumatica. Let's go ahead and click on drill down. You'll see a new sheet that's going to populate, and it's going to highlight all the accounts, what period it's coming from, the branch, description, and of course, the balances. But I want to show you how we are connected into the Acumatica environment. So let's go ahead and take this transaction right here. When you click on that, you'll see a hyperlink that transitions you automatically into the Acumatica environment, where you'll have full visibility to this transaction. And here you'll see we have the full account details. At that point, it's as simple as clicking on that reference number if you wanted to retrieve that original invoice. So very quick, going from any cell within any one of your spreadsheets to that original transaction directly within Acumatica. So as you'll see here, full invoice, and then we can go back to our spreadsheet where you can click on cell A15. It's going to show you exactly from which cell this transaction came from. The next functionality I'm going to highlight is something called generic inquiry. What this allows you to do is extract any single data from Acumatica. So again, anything outside of financials. So let's go into our demo environment. And I'm going to take an example of our payables and bills and adjustments. Again, you can extract any single generic inquiry from Acumatica. Bills and adjustments is just a sample of one. I'm not going to do anything on the screen itself other than click on Edit Generic Inquiry on my top right. Once we do so, a new screen is going to populate where we will only copy that inquiry title, and then we'll bring that back into Excel. So we'll go ahead and copy that. And we're going back into Excel. And now let's see how we can extract our generic inquiry. Equals GI for generic inquiry. At that point, you're going to put your connection name, and you're going to put your inquiry title, and that's it. Just like that, you'll see your entire inquiry is loaded in real time. So this is all of your bills and adjustments that is loaded in real time. You can do this with any single function within Acumatica. So you can extract any single screen that you have within Acumatica that's outside of financials with generic inquiry. The next functionality we'll touch on is report distribution. With Velixo, you have the ability to send out reports at the click of a button. Where can it be found? Right up top. You'll click New List, and this is going to be the template that populates. This is going to be the absolute machine that will allow you to send out reports at the click of a button. You'll see everything's been filled out for all intents and purposes here. Just give me a moment, please.
Duffy, it's time to quit those camel planes, huh?
Pardon?
I said time to quit those camel plane cigarettes.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think I caught a bit of a bug yesterday.
Okay. No, I'm joking.
All right, I think we are officially back now. Perfect. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen again. This is the absolute machine to send out reports easily, quick. So if you're sending out reports right now where it's taking you an abundant amount of time, I'm assuming this will help quite significantly. Firstly, you'll see how do you want to send out these reports? Excel, PDF, do you want the reports to be static or dynamic? You have the ability to choose how you want to distribute these reports out. So you could potentially send these reports out to someone who has access to Velixo and to Acumatica. They will be able to even drill down on those spreadsheets as long, again, as they have that understanding and they have those permission rights. You can also click copy workbook with the formulas right up top. File name, self-explanatory. Tabs are just based on the below sheets that you see here. If you're going to be saving your reports to an online folder like OneDrive, SharePoint, or another online medium, it's as simple as putting the folder path right here, and everything will be sent out immediately. Intended recipients, and let me scroll to the right-hand side. You can put the report in the body of an email. That's no problem. You can password protect it. But I want to show this column right here because you'll notice what we're doing is sending a report of a given branch to an intended recipient. It's just showing you a filter that you can create. You can customize who will receive what within which given report at any moment. So this is, again, just showing you a sample. When we're at the point where we want to distribute this report out, all you'll have to do is click on distribute all, and then the reports will be sent out in real time. We are asked this from time to time, so I feel like I'll answer the question in case someone here is thinking about it. But can you automate your report is a question that comes up. The simple answer is yes. The longer answer is that you just have to set this up in your Windows Task Manager. And the steps are available on our website.
Sorry, Duffy, there's a question somebody asked. Can you, so that generic inquiry page you did, can you drill down into that data like you do with the normal report?
Yeah, you can drill down on all your data, but you might not be going to that given invoice detail at that point. But you can drill down to any spreadsheet with any line.
Okay, great.
All right, so reports have been sent out. Let me go ahead and showcase some of these reports. So if we take a look at the first example, let's assume the CFO only wants to receive the net sales as a line item in the body of an email, showing you can absolutely do so. Next example, again, an income consolidated report, again, in the body of an email. And now I'll show you two additional reports. First one that you'll see here, this is sending a report of a given branch. We remove the budget in this scenario. And then finally, you'll see here a full consolidated report. Again, in the body of an email, you can add conditional formatting. You can add pie charts, tables. You can remove this static image and put your company's image. Again, this is just a vehicle to send out reports. So a lot of customers do like using this functionality. The next tool that we'll touch on today is the ability to push your data back from Excel directly into Acumatica. It can be found right up top with the toolbar where you'll see Perform Right Back. Right next to that is where you'll see New Sheet with different screens you can push back. So you'll see Journal Transactions, Budgets, Projects, and Generic Write Back. This is the newest one we've added in, and this one lets you push back to any single import scenario you've already created. Let's go ahead and take a look at our first example, our Journal Transactions. And this template that populates is just a vehicle that will allow you to automate your journal entries. So as opposed to going into Acumatica, typing new entries, putting all the details in, clicking submit, or automatically inputting them one by one, you can do everything from Excel. I always like to share examples, so we have an example that I will share. Just give me a moment. All right, so let's take this example right here. And this was our first write back scenario that we created 2 years ago. And this was actually from a customer request. They were manually inputting their liability insurance provision amounts on a monthly basis. So these values on the right, they were inputting, and it was a manual calculation. It was by their revenue per location, multiplied by the GL rate. Once they got that calculation, then they actually had to input that one by one. I'm going to show you now how quickly it is to input your transactions into Acumatica. I'm going to go ahead and switch our GL rate to 3.5. When I click Tab, you'll notice your debit and credits amount update. At this point, let's assume we're ready to push back into Acumatica. I'm going to go ahead and click on, well, I clicked on the wrong one, but let's go back to the other screen. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Let's click on Perform Write Back. So again, we switched this to 3.5, modified the values in the debit and credits amount. I want to show this within Acumatica. Click on Perform Write Back. All the work now is being done behind the scenes. You'll notice in about a moment, once we click on OK, there's going to be a new screen that will populate, and it will show those entries that have been imported into Acumatica. So we'll go ahead and click on OK. And then as you'll see on the right-hand side, 20,833, 3102, 11,358. This has been pushed into Acumatica. You'll simply remove the hold, and this is where you'll be able to release your data itself. So this is the first write back scenario. The second one is budget. A lot of customers are going through the budgeting process right now. With Velixo, you can use budgets for revisions. You can use budgets to update data itself. But with Velixo, you'll be able to use this tool as your budgeting backbone. Firstly, you'll see here the template that we created is very similar to the one that you have within Acumatica already. We have a revenue and expense account. There's 2 custom columns in our scenario here. Let's assume you might want to modify your COGS, for instance, to 35% because it's going to be an expensive year. You'll notice this will be reflected evenly through all the given periods. You can use what-if scenarios if you'd like. You could, again, this is just standard Excel functions. It's the same idea as using, a weighted distribution at the same time. But one of the items I do like to highlight before we click on the write back is the ability to have that collaborative experience. And with Velixo, because we're working within Excel, we can piggyback off of Microsoft's innate functions. So I can create a comment for another individual at my team. I can say, you know what, Gab, can you please review? And he will be receiving a notification, and he'll be able to go in and update that data as long as he has those permission rights. But for everyone who's working on this spreadsheet, you'll be able to see the trail on the right-hand side. So you have that nice flexibility. Now, once we're at the point where we're ready to push this back into Acumatica, just note you can release your data right away or not. Most customers prefer to release it once they're in Acumatica, but all we'll do is click on Perform Write Back, and then our budget gets pushed back again into Acumatica. So again, I showed you journal transactions. We went through budget. The last scenario that I'm going to touch on is the ability to write back into any single import scenario. Import scenario is any customized screen that you've created. So with Velixo, you'll see below here, generic write back. When you click on generic write back, you will see a template that populates. These templates that are going to populate momentarily have been based on the screens that you've already defined within Acumatica. So again, you'll have to make sure that these have been created if they haven't, but you'll see a sample. So it could be sales price, it could be vendor prices, it could be non-stock items, any single new screen that you've created that's an import scenario you can extract. Let's take an example of stock items. When I click on Create Generic Write Back Worksheet, you'll see a new template that will populate. And this template that's populating is based on the columns that have already been defined within Acumatica. So at this point, it's as simple as plugging and playing into the appropriate field, clicking Perform Write Back, and then this screen will be updated directly within Acumatica. You'll be notified of any issues or mistakes that you've made, and you don't have to worry. This actually won't be written back. So you'll have that second line of defense. Now I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes going through the project side of Velixo. Spend a couple of minutes there for those folks here who are using projects. And then I'll talk about all the support and resources that you have, because there is, again, an abundant outside of what I already highlighted. So we're just going to dive into our this next sample pack report. This one is also available on our website, just so everyone here is aware. And it's just loading up. It looks like we have quite a few documents here as well. All right. There we go. So we'll see our dashboard. So just so everyone can see here, a dashboard being extracted by the sheets that you see below here. First example, project portfolio reports. So you could have multiple project managers. You can see their ongoing projects, associated KPIs. And biggest piece I like to highlight up top is the functions. So again, just want to highlight that we've created functions or embedded functions into Velixo and Excel the same way we embedded functions for financials and GIs. So committed amounts, tasks, cost codes, all that you'll be able to extract. Here's a project report, so you'll be able to toggle between given projects. As you'll see up top here, you can have a drop down, make it look in the flavors field exactly the way you want to. Cost codes with budgets, revised budgets. And then, again, of course, WIP reports we have. So you'll be able to use Velixo for this. For job cost reports, you'll have all that accessibility in building reports out. Last thing I also did want to mention is the support again, because we have a huge amount of documentation available. So if you wanted to go onto our website here, you'll see there's 90 plus videos highlighting how you can use Velixo for specific functionalities, whether it's date-based reporting, reconciliations, allocations. Really great tool. And these videos that we've created are based on customer requirements or customer demands. So we have inputted this out. Then, of course, if you have any questions, feel free going on to G2. It's a good resource that a lot of individuals use just to take a look to see, what customers are saying about Velixo. So, we have a lot of reviews, very recent. So more than happy that your team goes to take a look at this. But with that being said, happy to answer any questions that there might be.
Great, thanks. I think everybody should be unmuted. Otherwise, just type your question into the chat if for some reason you are muted. Yeah, I did ask you the question about the drill down functionality on a GI, generic inquiry based report. So that the answer was yes to that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the what's the actual term? The input scenario functionality you just showed is really powerful. I personally wasn't aware of that, so I think that really is a game changer in terms of. So, are there any questions from anybody on anything they've seen here, or those that have Acumatica who are? I personally think that everybody who runs Acumatica should run Velixo, especially with some of the stuff we saw today. So, I don't know if there's any questions from anybody at all. No. The question: how would you secure a sheet from changes to formula?
So Bernard, that's in hi, Duffy, it's Gijs here from ERP365. That's in relation to the discussion you and I had around client-specific query. I realize you can share the reports without formulas, but the one question we did have was if they have multiple people looking at the reports, working on that report, they would potentially not want some of the users to be able to change formulas within the sheet. So it's not down to user permissions, Acumatica permissions. It's more around the security within the Excel sheet itself.
So it's interesting because we tie into the security rights that are put in place for each user when they're using Velixo. But the worksheets themselves, let me get back to you on that question. If you can diarize that in an email after the fact, I'll bring that back internally.
Thank you, will do. Sure.
And I see a question from Sharon asking about an offer promotion that we had last quarter. We'd be fine running the same offer this quarter because it's our first time doing this with your team. So I believe it was 15% off the first year. So we're more than happy to offer that as well.
Some people said they're muted. I've unmuted everybody, so maybe just try. I don't know, click on your. Sharon, are you muted? You can't unmute yourself. She obviously can't answer. She's muted. Yeah, okay. Any other questions, guys? What I will do is this is recorded, so I'll circulate the recording to everybody, and those who couldn't attend. And the next session will be 3 to 4 weeks from now. I'll announce a topic for that. But please mail me with any topics that you think we should cover around, anything around Acumatica. So mail me, and that might help. I was going to do a poll, but it's probably easier if you just mail me and say, look, I'd like to look at more about warehousing and distribution, or more about manufacturing, or more about any technical aspect. Generic inquiries, import scenarios, those are, and some of the new 2023 R2 features around custom fields with URLs. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So just send me a mail, bernard.ford erp365.coza, to let me just share my screen again. Any more questions for Duffy? Anything he's going to show before I share my screen? Nope. So the only reason I'm sharing my screen is just to show you my email address, which is at the bottom of the screen there. So yeah, mail me with any topics you'd like us to cover, and we'll certainly do that. And at the moment, yeah, we'll do this once a month, but we may do it more frequently to have more updates more often. So if there aren't any other questions, I think we can conclude the session. Duffy, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. I don't know what time of day it is there, but it's probably early in the morning. So I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yeah, of course.
I hope you get rid of your cold, whatever you got as well.
I appreciate that.
You guys are going into winter. We're going into summer. So
I know. Crazy.
yeah. Alrighty. Thanks everybody for your time, and we'll see you on the next session.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.